Hi, it's Denise. Do you want to highlight your company on my next episode of Standout? Click below. Hello, I'm Denise Summers, your host of Standout, the Calgary's business video series celebrating the successes of women founders and business leaders. Today we're joined by Deborah Rice-Solomons of Heritage Centre by Mountain View Events, a beautiful venue for many types of corporate events, weddings, galas, etc. So welcome, Deborah. It's great to have you here with us today. There's a lot of history in what you've built here, Deborah. You've got an Eaton's Catalog House and a museum. First of all, what is an Eaton's Catalog House? And tell us about the history of those and what you've got in your museum.
So this property is a historic property. It was homesteaded in 1903, and all the buildings that you see here on the property today are either from that period or just after that. So we have an historic barn, and we have a beautifully restored 1915 Eaton's Catalog House. Now, an Eaton's Catalog House was the original online shopping. So our settlers, there wasn't many trees in Alberta, so our settlers, they would look in the Eaton's catalog and they would select, believe it or not, a house. So they would pick their house and they would order this, and of course this was all by mail, and then the house would come in a package all on the train. This house came to Carstairs, and it was picked up by horse and wagon and brought here from Carstairs to this location and constructed in 1915. You cannot believe how exciting it would have been for a settler to have this wonderful package arrive. It had everything from the window panes to the doorknobs to the putty for the windows, all the moldings and everything, and they would watch this beautiful house be constructed. And often the neighbors and friends and families from all around would come and help with the construction. And that led to the other thing that was very common in the early 1900s in Alberta was what they called a barn raising. So people needed barns because you had horses to break the land, to in fact grow your crops so that you could survive. So one of the requirements in homesteading was to build a barn. So, and a barn, as you know, is a very large structure, and we didn't have cats and cranes and this type of thing. We had manpower and horses. So people would come together and they would build a barn. They would actually raise the barn. So you think, a barn today, to have it, it's 35 feet in the air. Well, how did they do that back in 1904 when our barn was raised? So that the community would have come together, the people would have brought their horses and ropes, and they had the technology to build this barn with those few simple things. But when you look at the design of a barn such as ours, some people call it hip roof barn, some people call it a gambrel barn, and you'll notice it has a unique shape. And when people look up at that shape, you go, where would that come from? Well, it's actually an upside down ship. So the carpenters that came to Canada in the late 1800s and early 1900s, they were shipbuilders from Europe. So they used that knowledge and the design to create that barn roof style that we today call a hip roof or gambrel. And of course, it's for snow load. So, you had to have that peak roof because we have, of course, lots of snow here near the mountains. And it was that's why they did it. But when you look at the roof of the barn, you can see it's an upside down ship. So it was just amazing. So the people would come, and they would come. Some people came from the United States, like my family, or they came from down east, and they came to Alberta in the late 1800s and the early 1900s, and they homesteaded. They built their barns, they built their houses, and they built the community that we have today. And that's what we are trying to do. We're building a sense of community. We bring people together to celebrate, and that's a big part of why it's called the Heritage Centre, because it's our heritage that you come together and you celebrate, and that's what we do so well here.
And how can people find you if they'd like to book an event here?
So Denise, if people want to reach out to us to book their team building or corporate event or their wedding or book a tour, they get a hold of me at my number 403-651-6090, or check us out on our website, mvetheheritagecentre.com. We'd like to welcome corporate Calgary, brides, tourists to a simpler time. we will share our memories and you can make new ones. We really look forward to everyone coming out and enjoying the Heritage Centre.
That's all the time we have today for this episode. Thank you for tuning in with us, and please remember to subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook. We have new content being released every day.